Welcome to Your Business, Your Life with Matt Francesco, your personal financial technician. Whether you've had years of success in your business or are just starting out, HighLift Financial can help you create a vision for your business, life, and family, and align these for generational wealth. So as they say, what happens in your life affects your business. And now, on to the show.
So the second part is actually about building value in your business. So I'm going to talk about some of these things. I think one of the great things, and one of the things that kind of ticked me off, is that next door, Drive's doing a thing on building wealth, and it's a lot of this type of stuff. And I wish we could have piggybacked some of this stuff, because I'm not an operations person. I put that right out front. I will bring in people like Drive or other consultants to do a lot of these things that I'm not. Now, I can do employee incentive planning, but let's talk about increasing cash flow first. So what some of the things that you can do, looking at how do you advance customer service. Anybody ever hear Mike Anderson's talks? Mike does some great stuff on enhancing customer service, just answering the phones. How do you answer the phones? Little thing. I remember I was in one of his talks. He actually had a shop owner come up and say, "It's all right, we'll call your shop." And the guy's like, "Yeah, go ahead. I'm going to show you how great I am." And so he answered the shop. "Hello, ABC Collision. How may I help you?" "Yeah, this is Mike. I was in an accident, and I'm going to need to come in and get an estimate." "Okay, can I put you on hold?" "Okay, sir. Well, could you bring the vehicle in Thursday?" And she's like, "Well, it's like..." And afterwards, he kind of does the call, and he says, "Look," he goes, "first thing off," he said, "when somebody's in an accident, that's a pretty traumatic event for them, isn't it? I mean, not only the fact that they had an accident, but now their vehicle, which a lot of their life revolves around, is now out of commission. Their whole life's going to get disrupted." And he said, "Why would you not say, 'Hello, it's ABC Collision. Hey, I've been in an accident. I need to bring an accident. Sir, I am so sorry. Is everybody okay?'" Right?
That's the first thing we ask every single phone call.
That's great. I mean, that's...
Is everyone okay?
Is everyone... I'm sorry about your loss. Yeah. So they say, "Well, okay, what type of vehicle you have?" "Oh, I have a 2016 Nissan." "Sir, did you know that we are certified in Nissan here?" I mean, how many of you actually tell your customers when they're calling what certifications you have? These are all little things to enhance customer service. Whether you have phone calls or whether you have a text or email system that kind of gives updates to the customer. Again, as an outsider for me, when I've gone to a collision shop and I've never heard from them, I haven't heard from them in a week and a half, I'm calling them. I'm going, where's my vehicle? What's going on with it? Right? Now, I take one of my clients is the guy I take my vehicle now to, and he has a policy of doing this all the time, constantly, every couple days, checking in. "Hey, listen, we're in this part of the process. Here's where we stand." They're now actually instituting a text system that can just, every couple days kind of give you a text on what, where the status of the vehicle is. All right? These are all just little things that can help to increase cash flow, because now you're developing loyalty, you're developing good feelings around your customers. Implement efficient workflows. Of course, that's, the more efficient that we can become, the better we can increase our cash flows. Offering additional services, calibration, mechanical services, any of those type of things, towing. Any of that type of stuff is another way you can increase cash flow. Optimizing inventory management, that's a no-brainer. In a previous life, I worked for Philip Morris. And used to call them mom and pop stores. And it was amazing, because then I'd also call them like the big chain stores. In Walmart, what I found was that the average store typically turns their inventory 5 times a year. Walmart turns theirs 27 times a year. They've got their inventory system so locked in that, and I used to illustrate it to the independent shop. I'd say I'd take a $20 bill. So this is when a carton of cigarettes was $20. And I'd lay it on the shelf and say, "All right, how much is that $20 bill earning you?" Sitting there, nothing. Right, it doesn't earn you anything until it runs through the register, right? So the longer you let that sit there, that's just money that's sitting on the shelf. So again, how do we optimize inventory management? And that's what's great about shows like this, because there's lots of vendors out there that have these type of systems that are in place. Negotiating with suppliers. Who negotiates their paint contracts? Anybody?
What now?
Negotiate your paint contracts.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Okay. Important stuff. You did digital marketing. I'm really surprised. I saw Body Shop Business, their industry survey, and I was surprised how little shops invest in advertising other than just doing word of mouth. And word of mouth is always the best, All right, but there's little things that you can do with utilizing digital marketing. One of my guys, they get the bulk of their business just from Google Ads. Because a lot of times people don't know where to go. They don't know who's, DRP shops, you call your insurance company after an accident, they're going to refer you to the DRP shop. Well, you don't know who the best shop is. So sometimes you'll do Google searches. Being able to utilize some of the tools out there in the digital marketing world can help you. Like I said, some shops just doing stuff like on Instagram or TikTok with people painting, all right? Like these women painters I was talking about. It can be great. Having, Christian values, promoting that out there. There's a lot of people that will do business because of that, okay? So anyway, there's a lot of ways you can use digital marketing. Yes, sir?
We found a fun little tool is just to, if a customer, as they start to tell you how happy they are with your service face to face at your desk, it's so simple to say, please give us a good review.
Right.
Because those reviews are what a lot of people, that's all they're looking for when they look you up.
Yep.
So that's a free advertising tool that your customer, typically, if they're happy with your service, is going to be very, very happy to do for you. It takes them like 3 minutes.
That's it. That's a really great one. I got some guys that are really good at that. Hey, we're happy with everything. You're doing the delivery of the vehicle. We're happy with everything. Could you please give us a 5-star Google review? So, and what's that?
Exactly right.
Before they leave the shop, that's even better. So, and this is Hannah over here. She runs my marketing team. All right, you can probably verify a lot of this stuff. But it's interesting because just even like I do my podcast, her team helps to put together different social media posts, and I can't tell you how many people read a thing in Body Shop Business. Then they start seeing me on Instagram or Facebook, then they start listening to the podcast, and then all of a sudden they call me and say, yeah, because you know what, now they've gotten to know me a little bit and know what I'm about. So her stuff is invaluable there too. So if you need marketing help, she's the one to talk to. So yes, she'll be at my booth too. So yes, exactly. Eliminating short pays. One of our collision cocktail hours, we spent 2 days talking about how to eliminate short pays.
What is a short pay?
Short pay, all right? So you do your repair plan. Plan shows $10,000, all right? You submit to the insurance company. They only give you 7.
Right. Yeah.
How do you make up the 3?
Right.
All right? And a lot of it's about educating your customer because the customer doesn't know. They have no idea. And 9 times out of 10, they're relying on what the insurance company tells them. So why don't we become the educator, teach them about their rights, how you want to repair the vehicle. All right, we want to repair this to manufacturer standards because this vehicle was built to protect you and your family. All right, but this is what it costs to do this. The insurance company wants us to use aftermarket parts. They want to use this. They don't want us to do this. And so here's what your rights are. You can't fight for the client with the insurance company, but you can educate them on what their rights are. All right. So they can fight. Yeah. Don't become an attorney. Please don't become an attorney. But you can educate. Okay? Again, review, optimize operating expenses. I think that's encourage customer reviews, manage debt wisely. So that's all common sense stuff there. Okay. Employee incentive planning. So again, this is a little bit, we've talked a lot about this. I think the first thing we need to do is identify who are the key employees. What are their roles? What's their impact on revenue? Do they have any unique skills, or leadership qualities, a potential for further growth? I mean, it's amazing to me how many shop owners, again, are coming to me looking at a transition plan. One of the first questions I ask are, do you have any family members that are in the business? All right. Then I ask, are there any key employees that might be interested in taking over business? And a lot of them are like, no, there's none of them. But then as we start digging further, we do find that there's ones that are out there. Okay. And sometimes they're the ones that are not obvious. We look at either our GM or our production manager thinking they're the person, but it could be somebody else in the organization. So identifying those things. Are they aligned with the business goals? All right. And then are we offering incentive plans that's attractive and competitive? So the types of incentives, and we talked a lot about this, so I'm just going to kind of go over this and maybe hopefully clarify some of it. Your monetary incentives, so that's bonuses, like I said, both vested and non-vested. Utilizing profit sharing, whether that's in a retirement plan, whether that's in just, a stay bonus plan, something like that. Stock purchases or options could be part of your succession planning. okay, and just regular raises. There's also non-monetary incentives, things like additional vacation time. I was talking a little bit about millennials and how they want to, they value other things. And that's one thing that they actually value a lot is additional vacational time or having more time off. Okay, they're very much about, not just about the money, but also about the lifestyle too. Flex scheduling is something that's becoming much more important, where maybe they're working 4 10s instead of 8 5s or something like that. Another great one, Mike Anderson actually gave me this idea because he did this in his shops, was he got, in addition to having vacation time, he would give them paid vacation. And so what that means is, so they have their vacation time and they get paid for that. So let's say it's their 2 weeks a year or 3 weeks or whatever that is. But in addition to that, he would give them $2,000, all right, for their vacation. Because what happens when people, you ever hear staycations? Why do people go on staycations? They don't have the money to go anywhere, right? And he didn't want that to be that said, so he wanted to give them $2,000 that could help them to fund a trip to spend time with their families, okay? To create memories. That's really, when you come down to it, we're all getting ready to meet our maker. What's really important? How much money we have in the bank, or the memories that we've created with our friends, our families, the legacies that we've created. So I thought that was a really neat idea, and that's another great incentive plan you can have. You want to always have a performance matrix, and I don't know if you ever heard of SMART goals. So SMART goals that are specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. When you have bonus programs that are in place, they got to be very clear to the employee what they need to do to get it and why or why not they earned it. So they're not sitting there and saying, well, this isn't fair. Well, no, here's the goals, and you didn't do this, okay? Or, yes, you got this because you did these things. And they already know that. You don't even have to tell them that, okay? And it helps them to create an ownership mentality, too. Okay, employee retention. So we talked about the stay bonus plans. There's different equity-based type plans. If you want to, like as a C Corp, you can do this. So you can do non-qualified stock bonuses. So instead of giving them a cash bonus, you can bonus stock if that's what your plan's going to be as far as your succession. Again, there's phantom stock programs where you can give them stock that's not voting stock. All right, so they have ownership, but they have no control. Eventually, if that's part of your succession plan, the agreement is that would then convert to voting shares, and there would be a liquidity event. That's how you would get your money back. Stock appreciation rights programs are basically you give them stock, but they only earn when the value of the stock increases. Again, these are things you can do as a C Corp. And then cash-based plans, profit sharing, cash balance plans, which are basically defined benefit plans. There's different types of non-qualified deferred compensation programs you can do, especially as a C Corp. That could be a bonus program where they get non-qualified deferred comp that they can't access until a retirement age, let's say 65. And then also, if a shop's got really good cash flow, the employee stock option purchase is becoming a very popular. They're very expensive to put together and expensive to run, but that's why I say you've got to have, really, you're probably going to be more of like a multi-shop owner that's really generating pretty decent revenue. But for the owner to get liquidity without selling the business and still maintaining control until they want to get out. And then what happens is all the employees have stock options that would eventually convert out to them. They're very complex, but that's kind of a general idea. Any questions on that stuff?
I think cash flow is getting harder and harder to do.
Yeah.
Because of the price of gas and the price of the insurance on your trucks and your buildings. And cash flow is key right now. Yeah, you used to still a little cash, but now it's getting harder and tougher.
Oh yeah, that's everywhere. That's everywhere. But there's still a lot of things that you can do. It's not impossible. I think too many times.
We all need to talk to you a little later then.
That's right. Well, I think you all do. Okay? But it's not impossible because I think too many times we think, all right, I just got to run more cars through, and that's the way. But we can do what I talked about more up here is there's efficiencies that we can probably work on to get greater dollars. Like I had one guy, what's that?
Mike Anderson, run less cars, make more profit.
That's it. That's bottom line. That's really what about.
Because you can only paint so many cars. We have 2 downdrafts. You can only paint so many cars.
Right.
I don't care who you are unless you're running 3 shifts. You can only paint so many cars a week.
That's right. That's right. Unless you expand, put more paint booths in, all that.
For that repair.
Right. So, but there's efficiencies that you can do. Like, are you getting the top dollar per job? I got a guy that called me, and we were looking at his shop, and I'm like, he was giving me his numbers, and I said, you're doing $1,000 less per vehicle than just the industry standard.
Right.
I said, and then you wonder why your sons aren't interested in buying a business, right? Well, there's going to be, you could give it to them, but you're still going to get your liquidity.
A little stock, but I ain't giving them a business.
Well, you can still get your liquidity. That's what I'm saying. That's the key thing. Tax minimization. Again, this is why I think it's important to have a good tax planning attorney who's going to look at corporate structures, but not for the short term, but for the long term. There's things like delaying and accelerating income, properly structured retirement plans. I think that's one that most shops miss. When I first got involved in financial services, I had no access to money. I didn't have any rich family, didn't have any rich friends, which is like suicide in this business. And so I'm like, holy crap, like how am I going to build this thing? Well, I knew municipal bonds. All right, so I'd spend all night calling physicians, selling them University of Pittsburgh Medical Center bonds, 5.5% tax-free. And then I learned 401ks and properly structured retirement plans. And I would call businesses all day, hey, do you have a retirement plan? When's the last time you had it looked at? Do you know the tax advantages of this? Can we just do an evaluation? And I basically sold 401ks as a tax play to business owners. And that's how I got involved with the whole business owner niche, would then develop more into consulting, which then I got collision shop owners, which led me to collision shops. But having a properly structured retirement, it was like I told you my personal situation. I put a profit sharing in place. Instead of me buying a vehicle or accelerating or delaying income, which will eventually bite you in the ass at some point, all right? You can have a properly structured retirement plan. Just with a 401k, safe harbor 401k and profit sharing, you can defer up to $64,000 for both you and your spouse, right? And almost $130,000 per year that you can put away on a tax-deferred basis. Then you add in a cash balance plan, now you got up to $250,000 per spouse. If they're structured properly, that's a great tax minimization tool. Doing depreciation, of course, getting employment tax credits, all of these, different tax credits are out there. This is why it's important to have a good tax planning CPA who will be able to find these tax credits for you. It's not about what you make, it's about what you keep. Right? Amen? We're going revival now, baby. All right. Improving systems and technology. Again, I think it's really important. Assess your current systems. Where do you have needs, and goals? Then research solutions. That's what's great about these type of conferences is there's a lot of vendors out there. See things that you really need. Do you have good management software? How's your estimating software? Do you have digital vehicle inspection? Those type of things. This customer relationship management, I am really shocked how few shop owners I run into have a customer relation management system. It's different than what your estimating or your management software is, like your CCC, because what this is more about the customer itself, getting their information. What's their birth date, okay? You can actually track. You missed a revival. I just did revival.
Well, what you're saying is like CCC 40 years ago was $200 a month. That was $1,200 a month.
Right.
If you get what they offer, but they offer all that stuff, but that takes away from your bottom line too.
It does. But it's important to have a good customer relationship. And you can find cheaper ones too. And you'll find ones that can integrate with your CCC too. You use anything like that or? Okay. But, yeah, there are ones. But think about this. Think about if you've got every customer that came in and you had their birth date in the system and you just had an automatic process that CSR or somebody in the office would send them a birthday card. Okay? What does that do for goodwill? Or you have in the system that, hey, they had their car in here 3 years ago, and here's what we did. You get to know the customer much better, okay? You can put in promotional things, have like regular emails sent out for promotions, or just have them tied in with your digital marketing, those type of things. It's really a great tool, and I think it's underutilized in this industry. Advanced company planning, just staying updated on industry trends. I'm preaching to the choir here because you guys are here, all right? That's what you do. So, all right. Then successor development. Let's identify your potential successors. Let's assess their skills and gaps. Where are they good? Where do they need some work on? How do we develop them? Then we develop a plan for them. Involve them in strategic planning, getting them involved. I mean, the guy who's got kids in the business, start getting them involved in the business. Start doing some of the strategic planning. Do the mentoring and coaching for them. Help define them leadership training. Personal development, I tell, especially young people, I tell them this all the time. Because everybody comes to me, being an investment guy, and they say, what's the best investment I can get in? I said, yourself. Like the fact that you guys paid money to go here, this is a great investment because you're investing in yourself. And you're going to get the greatest amount of return by being at something like this than you will ever from buying a stock. Okay? So my coach, he requires us we have to spend 5 to 10% of our top line revenue just on ourselves. And what's interesting is the more I spend on myself, the more my business grows. And you got to do that for your people too. A good attorney, like I said, tax planning, CPA, and I think having a good financial planner too, that helps to make sure that you're on track. That's why I call what I do not financial planning, but financial road mapping, because it's really about putting the trip ticket together, the GPS, but then we run into detours, finding alternate routes to always get to that end destination. So, and having them learn these aspects of it. Then always give them a trial period. So this is a good time. All of a sudden you've developed a successor. Maybe you take a month off just to see how it works, because you can always jump back in. I mean, it can't kill your business in a month, all right? But giving a trial period, and then out of the trial periods, you can review and adjust. So now you kind of ease them into this, and you can really see, where are they good? Where do we still need some work? So that eventually, when the eventual transition happens, it's going to be smooth. All right, minimizing risk, having employment agreements. This is more probably for your key employees. I think it's important. Most shops I run into don't have employee agreements. I think with your key employees, it's really important. They basically are going to establish each party's rights and responsibilities, what you give to them, what they give to you. Clearly states who's owned. If you have any proprietary information, who owns that. Gives them their benefits package. And then if you can, put in covenants to not compete. So if they leave, they can't go to the shop down the street. And maybe you put it in a geographic area. Having those things are good protections, and I think they're important protections for you to have. Again, proper PNC, everybody should have standard risks, premises, operations, products, completed operations. But there's other risks, like business interruption. Like whose business took a bit of a hit during COVID? Okay? A lot of them, at least the ones I'm seeing, saw that. I got clients in the west coast of Florida when the hurricane blew through. I mean, that basically just really disrupted them. Do we have insurance in place to minimize those? More women in the workforce, sexual harassment. We've got to be careful with those things. Data breaches, fraud, embezzlement, death, all those things. Are those being addressed? And then again, cybersecurity. Everybody have IT people? Yeah. I mean, if you don't have one, get an IT firm to contract that stuff out. The hackers are staying well ahead of us. So having those things in place is really important. So when we look at owner-based planning, we're going to look at business continuity, we're going to look at building value, and then minimizing risk. And out of this, we're going to create what's called an action plan. All right? So that's typically how I start. And a lot of this just identifying where the areas are creates this action plan, and then out of that, now we can start to prioritize and put a systematic process in place. What needs to be addressed first? What's our timeline on it? And then we can work through the process in a very orderly manner. And so that's usually the starting point I work with clients. So just so you understand how I work, these are all people that are going to be involved in any type of exit process. Business attorney, insurance professionals, industry consultants, M&A people, tax planning, CPA, sometimes family counselors. Maybe that's what he needs, Financial planner, evaluation specialist. I fill some of these. I fill the financial planning role. I can also be the insurance professional. But mainly what my role is as a coach. So it's really about me working with the client, and then I pull in these other people as part of the team, but I'm the quarterback in all of this. So I know the client's goals. I've helped them to paint the picture, put the picture on the box of the puzzle, and then knowing which ones we've got to bring in to put those pieces of the puzzle together. So that's pretty much how, just so you have an idea of how I work with clients, okay? All right, so other than that, I'm going to open it up for questions. I got a QR code. If you do want to talk at some other point, you can use the QR code. It'll take you right onto my calendar. I give everybody 30 minutes of my time. And I promise you this is the one value proposition I always offer. If I cannot help you or it's just not a fit for us, you don't like me, I will promise to get you pointed in the right direction. I feel an obligation to do that. Okay? So, but anyway, we got about 8 minutes. Any questions anybody has?
Oh, I just wanted to ask, you guys keep mentioning Mikey Anderson.
Mike Anderson, yeah. Collision Advice.
Oh, is that a podcast or?
His company is Collision Advice. Yeah, he's probably like the guru in the industry.
I was part of the Spartan groups.
You are part of Spartan groups? Spartan groups are great. I got clients of mine who are members of them. They're really good. I think they're really important to have, to be honest with you.
Awesome. If you know, I'm from Indiana, so if you guys haven't heard of Mike Anderson, if he's anywhere near you, it's awesome. And that deal you were talking about, I was just at a conference of his in Indy.
Yeah.
And that whole thing that we think that we answer the phone correctly and hey, my CSR always does the right thing. Yeah, well, he took time in that conference and basically took all of our shops.
Yeah.
And he called every single one of our shops.
Wow.
Live, right there, just like if you were here.
Yeah.
You could call live, and everybody got to hear how your CSR answered the phone.
Yeah.
It was, yeah.
But those are learning experiences, yeah.
It was very transparent and very learning too.
Right.
And I was one of the lucky ones that mine answered the phone right, asked if everybody was okay. I mean, she did perfect.
Good.
There were some people in there that were, well, I've never heard her say that before.
Right.
You don't call your shop, an issue.
Yeah.
It was, but Mike Anderson stuff is awesome. And you can go to his website, and I'm not trying to preach him, but
right.
You go to his website, I do that a lot. And like all the different, like there's forms. He's got like 2 pages of forms. You can sit there and print out forms that you need. I mean, you can call it and leave a message and call him back. The guy literally works 363 days a year.
Yeah.
I mean, he takes like 2 days a year off. You know what I mean? Like it's it.
Yeah.
It's unreal.
Yeah. You want to talk about a good soul, man.
Like whoever pissed him off back in the day to sell his shops to do what he's doing, I'm glad they did.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I've gained a mountain of knowledge from that guy.
Right. Where are you located?
Well, we're kind of on the state line of Oklahoma and Missouri.
Okay.
So we've got a shop in Oklahoma, and we just bought one in.
Will you be going to ABAT?
I haven't thought about it yet. So.
Yeah, I know he's speaking at ABAT.
Okay.
I mean, that would be worth the price of admission. What? Yeah, I know he's speaking at ABAT. Okay. Because that's probably the closest one for you. Mike's a great guy. Mike's taught me a lot about the industry. And it's funny because I've had him on my podcast a number of times, and one thing, and he always says this, and he's like, every move that a shop owner makes from when you start, all right, should have your succession in mind. All of this stuff you should be doing from the very beginning, all right? Now, if you've been in business 20, 30, 40 years, it doesn't mean it's too late, okay? But yeah, you should be doing all of this stuff, all right? Even if you're not preparing to exit. All right, I had a buddy of mine, he was CIO of an ice cream company, okay? And it was funny, we were talking one day and he goes, we were talking about saving for retirement. And he says, I'm not sure I want to retire, but I'd like to have the option. And I think that's a great philosophy there too.
Same boat I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm not even close.
Right.
Mike Anderson's also taught me to make sure I'm setting everything up right too.
That's exactly right.
I can walk out here today and get hit by a bus.
Yeah.
What happens?
Funny story. I'm part of this exit planning group called the Business Enterprise Institute. So first year I was at their conference. It was right when I got my CEXP. I go to this breakout session. There's an attorney that's in there. And this guy's like uber smart. I mean, he's a tax planning CPA and an attorney. And he started talking about working with body shops. And I'm like, I got to meet this guy. So I meet him and we talk. And then next thing you know, a couple months later, I'm talking to Mike. He said, well, who helped with the transition when you bought your shops from your dad? He goes, this attorney, Stuart Sorkin. I'm like, I know Stuart. Stuart and I do a lot of work together. So, but yeah, it was funny how that happened. So I'm sorry, you're going to.
I'll just add to this. Not only talking about exit planning with Mike, I've been in business counsel for years.
Okay.
friends, that you could become friends in your business council groups, have sold their shops, and most of them are small MSOs.
Right.
For over one-time revenue.
Yeah.
Okay, total revenue, over one-time revenue. So it's all about, you're talking about thinking about selling
Yeah.
to the best. This is the end result.
That's right.
You can get with Mike Anderson.
Yeah.
He's that good.
Yeah, he is that
It's all
good.
because of
He is that good. Right. And so where I kind of work is like, and even with Stuart, Stuart's this and this, okay? But we work together, all right? Because, all this stuff's important, but if you don't have the financial roadmap in place, if we have not identified the gap that's in place, if we've not created the picture for the box of the puzzle, then it becomes a cluster, okay? And so this is kind of where I'm feeling the need, is helping to pull all this stuff together. Sorry, I don't mean to get so pitchy. It's just, I'm just passionate about what I do, man. I love seeing families and businesses and communities and legacies just create things for many generations. So I just get fired up about it. With that, thank you very much. I appreciate your time. You guys are a great audience. Thank you very much.
Hey, I really want to thank you for listening to the Your Business, Your Life podcast. If you want to be notified when new episodes become available, click the subscribe button below.
The information covered and posted represents the views and opinions of the guest and does not necessarily represent the views or opinions of High Lift Financial. The content has been made available for informational and educational purposes only. The content is not intended to be a substitute for professional investment, legal, or tax advice. Always seek the advice of your financial advisor or other qualified professional with any questions you may have regarding your business or personal planning. Francesco Financial Concierge, LLC, DBA High Lift Financial, is a registered investment advisor. Registration with the United States Securities and Exchange Commission or any state security authority does not imply a certain level of skill or training.